Before I left Hobart, my 88-year-old father asked me would I bring him back from Antarctica a slab of glacier ice to put in his whiskey. Well, I guess that this ice is possibly about 20,000 years old, considerably older than him, and I hope the old bugger appreciates it, and I might even share it with him.
It's my last day at Mawson Station. We've got to leave as soon as possible. The weather's fine here, but the latest report is that it's clouding in from the west. I'm on the last chopper out. I haven't had time to pack properly or even say goodbye. It's a 3-hour flight back to our ship, the Aurora Australis. If we don't go now, we might have to wait here for another week. We've got a 360-kilometre flight ahead and the wind is against us. Everything's happening too quickly. It's hard to believe I'm actually leaving Antarctica. For safety reasons, the helicopters always fly in pairs. I'm with one of the most experienced pilots down here, Pip Turner.
Romeo Tango, Hotel Bravo.
Hotel Bravo, Romeo Tango, go ahead.
Yeah, Roger, what sort of ground speed are you getting, Lee?
Indicating 100 knots, but I've got a ground speed of just on 40 knots. It's not a very good start to the flight, but we'll see how we go at altitude.
Okay, righto, we'll climb up to 6.5 and see how it goes from there.
Yep, Roger.
Pip, how are things going? Yeah, well, not going very well at the moment, Tim. We've just departed Mawson, as you know, and we've got a horrendous headwind. We're pushing about 80 knots of headwind at the moment at this level. We're on climb to 6,500 feet, and if we don't get some sort of improvement in the ground speed, then we're not going to make it right through to the ship.
This is not the kind of thing Antarctic travellers like to hear. We're on the coast of Macrobertson Land, flying from Mawson east towards Cape Darnley, and our ship waiting offshore in the sea ice. Well, that's the plan anyway. The problem right now is we're burning up too much fuel, pushing against this very strong headwind.
Roger, mate, we've got about 10 minutes to go to this PNR position near Cape Darnley, 10 miles past Cape Darnley. At that distance, we'll be about 80 miles from the ship at 7,500. We should be able to get them okay, PHF.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
The pilots are talking about a PNR, the point of no return.
Can I talk? Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
I'm taking a certain more than academic interest in what's going on.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm a bit preoccupied here. We've got about 10 miles to run to our point of no return, and at that point we've got to establish positive contact with the ship so we can determine what the weather conditions will be like at the ship.
The PNR will be our moment of truth. Once we pass Cape Darnley, there won't be enough fuel to turn back to Mawson. We'll have to go on to the Aurora. We've been flying for almost 2 hours, and we've just passed the point of no return. We're committed to finding the ship now.
I don't know about yours, but my feet are cold. Not psychologically, I hope, but certainly physically.
Yeah, we haven't been using the heater on this leg because we don't want to use the extra fuel that it burns, just to keep us a little bit of extra safety margin. But I'm sure you'll cope. I don't think they're going to drop off.
Pip seems very cheery about all this. We think we're about 50 kilometres from the ship now. But we've only got 20 minutes of fuel left before we have to start using the emergency reserve. And I can see the weather is clagging in. The cloud ceiling is getting lower and lower.
So we feel like we can start descending into, I think it was 1,500 feet cloud base here and see how it looks.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. I'll follow you down.
Roger.
We've dropped down even lower now to 700 feet to stay under this cloud. If it keeps on forcing us down, we might have to land on the sea ice.
How long before we see the ship?
Well, I'm just getting the ship up on radar at the moment, and we're 25 miles away from the ship, so it should be visible in the next 3 or 4 minutes. It's a little bit hazy, but it'll start coming through the mist before too long.
Bravo, Romeo Tango.
Romeo Tango, Hotel Bravo, go ahead.
Yeah, Roger, I've got the ship visual. How are you?
Yeah, not just yet. It's, oh yeah, I've got it now. Yeah, it's coming through just up ahead.
The Aurora is without doubt the nicest sight I've ever seen. She's been pushing her way through the pack ice towards us while we've been flying. We've made it. This is the sweetest landing I've had on the whole trip. And it's just in time. The clouds have almost dropped to sea level now. They're not wasting any time getting underway. It's a 7-day voyage back to Hobart, if everything goes according to plan. I'm sharing a cabin with John Hinton. He's been at Davis Station for the last year and can't wait to get home. His son Patrick was born 2 months after he left to go south. All he's seen of him so far are faxed photographs.
He's got a really quirky, humorous look on his face.
Yeah, he seems pretty happy little fella. And this next one is a bit later on. That's probably about 6 or 7 months. You can see he's quite a young lad there. And this is the very latest picture. So if you look at the cushion that he's been sitting on while they've been taking the photos, you can see that he's grown considerably. I just hope I can hold him without him crying and screaming, because he doesn't know me. So
Who's this big bearded man?
yes.
There are 40 other expeditioners on board, all desperate to get home after spending a year in Antarctica. But things aren't going to plan. There's been a serious accident at Casey Station, and we've got to head there first. We're changing course to get close enough to Casey to fly out an expeditioner with a badly broken leg. It'll add an extra 3 days to our return voyage. At least the extra time in the pack ice won't be wasted.
You got another one out here, Cole?
How far out?
About 600 metres.
It's a chance for biologist Colin Southwell to continue surveying crab-eater seals. Very little is known about them because they only live and breed out here in the pack ice.
There are a lot of seals out there. We know they're the most abundant pack ice seal by far, but their habitat is so extensive, several million square kilometres, so it's easy for all of those animals to be dispersed in that large area.
It's thought crab-eater seals are a major consumer of krill, so it's vital to estimate just how many seals are out there. For the rest of us, it's a matter of killing time. In the bowels of the ship, the video freaks are easing themselves back into civilization. I can only find 3 people on the whole ship interested in a more cerebral challenge.
What is it, man? A bosom. Hang on. What? What's this?
Both F's are on the board.
Philippa, what keeps bringing you back to Antarctica?
I love the lifestyle. I love the lifestyle. I love knowing. I love the whole community. Like it's a really strong sense of community that has an almost feel of family about it. I love that there is no money. I love living without money. Everybody's employed. Everybody's got a job. There's no unemployment to kind of worry your little heart.
Full employment.
Full employment.
No money.
No money. No media, dare I say.
After 3 days pushing through the pack, we are 600 kilometres away from Casey. Our long-range choppers can just make it to the station from here. This will be the longest helicopter rescue flight ever attempted by Australians in Antarctica. There's time for a team to go out on the ice to attach radio tracking transmitters to crab-eater seals. They've trained hard for this moment, but it's the first time they've tried to do it for real. Crab-eaters are big, aggressive animals. We've got ringside seats for this amazing scene from Spartacus on ice. They've got to herd one seal into the net and keep its mate from joining the action. Then, as many bodies as possible pile onto the seal to hold it still. The unlucky crab-eater is injected with a tranquilizer. Then, the radio transmitter is stuck on with a harmless glue. The backpack will record how deep the seal dives, how often, and how much time it spends above the water on the ice. It's amazing. The data gets beamed directly up to a satellite, bounced back to France, Melbourne and Hobart, even to the Aurora Australis if need be. Fortunately, the backpack drops off after 5 months when the seal molts. After 6 anxious hours, the choppers have made it back. On board is the injured biologist Cheryl Macquarie. The doctor at Casey put her broken leg in plaster, but it's an unstable fracture and isn't mending. Poor Cheryl. She'd only been at Casey a week. Now she's on her way home. She'll certainly need some cheering up.
Cheryl.
Hi, Tim.
How are you doing?
Good.
I've
Yeah, good considering.
got a couple of goodies. Copy of my book.
You'll have to autograph it for me.
I have.
And you have already.
Yeah, of course.
It's ironic, but Cheryl actually broke her leg during a safety training exercise that all expeditioners have to do.
This is the offending article.
It's called a self-arrest. This training film shows what Cheryl should have done. If you fall down a slope, you roll over and dig your ice axe in to stop. But Cheryl didn't stop and just kept sliding down towards a drop at the bottom. Her crampons jammed into the ice. She knew she was in bad trouble.
For as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to come. I feel cheated, absolutely cheated, lousy. I just can't believe that I've wanted to go for so long and I'm there for 1 week and I have to go.
We're all feeling a sense of loss at leaving Antarctica. In just 5 days, we'll be back in Hobart. It's time for me to try and pull together some of the threads of the Australian Antarctic experience. Antarctica has always fascinated Australians. During the so-called heroic era, explorers like Sir Douglas Mawson were drawn to Antarctica, the last unexplored continent on the face of the Earth. Mawson claimed the Australian Antarctic Territory for the British Empire.
In the name of His Majesty George V, King of Great Britain, Ireland, the British dominions beyond the seas, Emperor of India, whereas I have it in command from His Majesty King George V to assert the sovereign rights of His Majesty over British land discoveries met with in Antarctica, now therefore I, Sir Douglas Mawson.
Now, 7 nations have claims in Antarctica. Australia's is by far the biggest, a whopping 42% of the entire continent. You have to live and work in Antarctica for any claim to be taken seriously. But it wasn't until after World War II that Australians went south to establish stations. It was a statement of occupation, but also a chance to begin the scientific exploration of Antarctica. The question of who controls territory is still disputed by some nations. But for station leader Michael Carr, it's the least important reason for being there.
I don't necessarily think that the government believes we're there to stake out a claim on the territory. I would think that they would more likely see it as a means of raising Australia's profile in an international forum. And Australia does have a very high profile in international forums through Antarctica, and I think that's very important. I think the science is equally as important. And for those 2 reasons, we have to be there.
We're back in the Southern Ocean again. I've seen my last ice floe.
Okay, Tim Bowden.
My maiden name.
How are you, Tim?
Going well, thank you, Steve. All present and correct.
Okay, 1 pair of boots, thank you.
And 1 freezer suit.
Travelling with the Antarctic Division is a bit like joining the army. When you leave, they want the uniform back.
1 blizzard mask.
1 blizzard mask. Leather Rossi.
Deputy Voyage Leader Steve Reeves seems to think I've squirreled some of it away.
And, well, Tim, you still owe us a few bits and pieces. Your Parker Gore-Tex, trousers Gore-Tex, boots Leather Rossi, used, and woolen gloves and kit bag survival.
I can explain everything.
Not without a bribe, you can't, Tim.
I guess that's it. The adventure is nearly over. You know, it's said that no one goes to Antarctica without being changed in some way. For me, it was the moment when I stood on top of an iceberg. It made me realise just how insignificant we all are in the enduring vastness of Antarctica. is sailing away from Hobart now. My cabin mate John Hinton can't bear it any longer. He's ringing his wife Susie on the Inmarsat phone at $6 a minute.
And what about walking? I hear we're walking by hanging onto the edges of tables and things. Is he still progressing?
Yes. Standing up very stably now and
Right. So anyway, look, take good care of yourselves and give the little boy a hug from me and give him a kiss for Dad.
yeah. Love you, sweetheart. Really looking forward to seeing you.
Okay. Bye.
It's not easy adjusting to life back in Australia. After more than 6 years of Antarctic service, Bob Orchard is heading home for the last time.
I used to think seeing women in pretty dresses in summertime would knock me over a bit, but in actual fact it's the flowers, particularly in Hobart. The beautiful colours, the colours that you forget about that we don't get to see down there. And that's something I completely forgot about a few years ago. I came back and was invited to dinner at the Taroona Hotel, and I walked in the door, I was by myself, and there was a mass of children there. And I hadn't thought of kids for over a year, nor had I seen one. And there was this room, and it sort of stunned me a bit. I had to go outside and stand in the car park for a while and gather my thoughts. There are such little things that do exist.
Everyone is lost in their own thoughts. Trees and grass seem extraordinary after the sterile, deep freeze of Antarctica. Everyone on board has shared the unique experience of being in Antarctica. Strong friendships have been formed. It's been the journey of a lifetime. The returning expeditioners haven't seen their families and friends for a whole year.
Daddy's up there.
John Hinton hasn't ever been able to hold his firstborn son in his arms. Now everyone's about to be reunited. I couldn't wait to see what little Patrick made of his big bearded dad. I think what I'll take away from all this is a feeling of camaraderie. Even in a few weeks down south, I've made good friends.
Now we're having a hug today, mate.
Patrick kept it all together until he saw me.
Oh, that's a bit much.
At least Father didn't burst into tears.
I'm fine, and how are you? Fine. I've got the glacier ice for the Scotch, and I thought we might have it on the wharf a bit later on when the hubbub dies down.
Everyone is gone now, and the Aurora Australis is already loading up for the next voyage. She'll be on her way back to the Antarctic in 24 hours.
I think that should be enough. Excellent. Now, the moment we have been waiting for.
Indeed, indeed.
They tell me that the glaciologists say this could be from 20,000 years to 100,000 years, Father.
Is that so?
And if you put it up to your ear, you should be able to hear.
In my ear?
Crackle, crackle,
I can hear it.
crackle.
Oh, God. You can. There's no doubt.
And that's the air bubbles from...
No doubt whatever.
That's the air bubbles trapped in it from God knows how many years ago. So,
well,
from Mawson Station Iceberg
I'm tapping a few more.
Cheers.
Take it, Tim.